नमस्कार दोस्तों, मेरा नाम विक्रम प्रताप सिंह है। मैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट में एडवोकेट हूँ और एचआरजी लीगल के इस इनिशिएटिव पे आज हमारे जो खास मेहमान हैं, सर के परिचय के मोहताज नहीं है। सर प्रीवियसली डिप्टी डायरेक्टर ऑफ इन्फोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट से रिटायर हुए हैं और प्रेजेंटली अगर इनको हम रिप्रेजेंट करें सर को, तो फेमा कंसल्टेंट के तौर पे काफी महारत हासिल कर रखे हैं। तो सर अपने जो एक एक्सपीरियंस है और जो ज्ञान है इस एचआरजी लीगल के इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे आपको से ओत प्रोत करेंगे। तो मैं प्लेटफॉर्म सर के हवाले करता हूँ। सर मोस्ट वेलकम सर, एचआरजी लीगल के प्लेटफॉर्म पे आपका स्वागत है।
Thank you.
जी सर।
See, I hope the topic for today is remittances abroad under LRS. Am I right?
Yes.
So I will restrict myself to this, and with liberty to all the other participants after that, in case they have any other issue on any other topic, I will try my best.
Done, sir. Done.
So let us see that what are the regulations governing the foreign exchange in the country and why there are these regulations. You see, when India became independent, there was scarcity of the foreign currency reserves in the country. And no country can run unless it has great reserves of the foreign currency. So Government of India came up with an act known as Foreign Exchange Regulations Act 1947. Then with the passage of the time, the foreign exchange resources got up, position became very good, it was comfortable. The act was amended, some changes were made, and ultimately then there came the liberalization when the foreign exchange reserves got up with the Reserve Bank of India. There was a liberalization policy started in the year 1999. Government of India thought that let me see that what will be the reaction if I liberalize the policy of granting foreign currency to the individuals, to the companies and everybody, and let us see the result. So that policy at that time in 1999, that brought down trend in the illegal transactions those were being carried out at that time. And it was amended with an act of Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. The difference here is with the liberalization, what happened? Foreign Exchange Regulations Act, it was a criminal act. There was criminal liability. One could be arrested and prosecuted. Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, which came in force on 1st of May 2020, there is a civil liability, no criminal liability, no arrest, no prosecution, no remand. So government thought that my foreign currency reserves are coming up. So let me give a free hand to the people and see the reaction. So this worked very well. And thereafter, the provisions were liberalized day by day. Now, the starting point of the governing provisions will be Section 3 of HEMA, which says that no transaction can be done between a person resident in India and outside the country without the general or special permission of the Reserve Bank of India. So Reserve Bank of India was the governing body which had power under FEMA to do with any regulation and liberalize and do with the notifications and circulars, it liberalized. Side by side, when Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999 came up, then there were regulations were made, different regulations for different purposes. The relevant regulation coming up here is Foreign Exchange Management Current Account Transactions Regulations 2000. And under those regulations, important for the present issue is Schedule 3. And Schedule 3 gives the details of how you can make the remittances and forward purposes you can make. Under this section, Reserve Bank has been giving directions from time to time. And in the year 2019, it came with a full-fledged liberalization policy. The provisions were further amended, further circulars were issued, further notifications were issued, and the last it was issued in the year 2021. Now let us see that what are the liberalization policies. First, we'll take up the remittances by the individuals. What remittances individual can make from India to country outside India. Now the first purpose will be private visit of an individual to any country except Nepal and Bhutan. For the purpose of travel to Nepal and Bhutan, foreign exchange is not available under the liberalized scheme. Then private visit to any other country, then we can use it for gifts and donations. We can also use it for going abroad for employment. We can also use it for immigration purposes in outside country. We can send the amount for maintenance of close relations abroad. Now, who are the close relations? Close relations are the direct descendants and ascendants of the individual. That means if I am the person, my father, my grandfather, my grandmother, my mother, my sisters, my children, my brothers, their children, all blood relations. And within the definition of the family will also come the descendants and ascendants of your spouse, your wife. They will also come within this definition. Then there is travel for business purposes. The company sends its people for business premises, for development of business, or for attending the conferences, or for getting specialized trainings, for meeting medical expenses, for going abroad for general health checkups, and even an attendant who goes with a patient outside the country for treatment. That attendant, he may be a relation, he may not be a relation. He is also granted foreign exchange for that purpose under this scheme. Now, entire expenses which are being undertaken abroad for treatment, they will be given total permission by the Reserve Bank of India. Then there are studies abroad. Students go abroad, they need payments for their fee, they need payments for their lodging. All these payments will go from this country to them, and there is no limitation for that. Then it can also be used for purchase of property outside India. And apart from that, there are various other current account transactions which can be undertaken for meeting these purposes. Now, what are the current account transactions under the Act? These are defined under Section 2 of the FEMA. We says that current means the current, which are the transactions going on at present. Any other transaction from this, but it should not be a capital transaction. Capital transaction means where there is change of the change or flow of the shares of the capital. I cannot send for purchase of the companies under this scheme. So any other transactions can be done. Now, under this scheme, liberalized scheme for these individuals, Reserve Bank has issued a notification that per year you can send $250,000 under this scheme. It may be in one go, or it may be by piecemeals. It may be for one person, or it may be for other purposes. So combined, we have to see that within a financial year, 250,000 he can send. Now, other persons, other than the individuals, those are the firms, those are the companies, those are the trusts, they can also remit the foreign exchange abroad. Now, but there is a limit. Donations, they can send up to 1% of the foreign exchange earnings made by them, subject to a ceiling of US $50 lakh. They can go up to 50 lakh, but it should not exceed 1% of the foreign exchange which they have earned for the country. Now, likewise, they can remit also commission to their agents abroad, whom they have used for sale of any properties abroad, or who were required for selling the properties in India. They can remit to the extent of 25,000 US dollars per transaction, or 5% of the inward remittance that has come to the country out of this transaction. Now they can also, persons other than individual, they can also remit under this scheme, liberalized scheme, US dollars 10 lakh per project for any consultancy services in respect of the infrastructure projects only. And they can also remit $10 lakh per project for any other consultancy services procured from outside the country. Now, in case a company or a firm has brought investment into country for US dollars 1 lakh, now 5% of that company can also remit under this liberalized scheme. Now, what are the transactions? There are certain transactions which are prohibited under this liberalized scheme. What are those transactions? I am telling you. That is remittances for any lottery winning. That is prohibited. You cannot send money outside the country for purchasing any lottery ticket. You cannot send money outside the country for any racing event, riding event, or any other hobby. You cannot do for it. Now, lottery tickets you cannot purchase. Prescribe the banned magazines, banned books by any country, that may be our country or the country where you are sending the money. If you go for purchasing a banned book or a banned magazine, that is not permissible. Likewise, football pools and sweepstakes are not permissible. That you want to sweep the shares of one company, for that also it is not permissible. Now, payments on export of commission, that is also not available under this scheme, though the exporter is otherwise entitled for that commission. For that, he has to do that at the time of the export. He has to raise an invoice, show the commission there. That's not the topic here. But under this scheme, commission for the exports cannot be raised. Now, remittance of the dividend shares, that also cannot be sent through this scheme, LRS scheme. Now, one thing is permissible, that there are certain countries like Russia is there, Iraq is there, where there is a rupee state credit route. That they are not hard currency areas. There is a rupee state credit route, and for them, in case they are in the sector of the tea export, they can remit up to 10% of invoice value on these tea exports, because they cannot remit it, otherwise they cannot raise the invoice and show the commission at the time of the export, because it is a country where state credit is used, not the foreign currency. Free flow of the currency is there. Therefore, for that, they can remit under this scheme up to 10%. Now, we can also remit interest on income of funds held in non-resident special rupee accounts. Now, these are the rupee accounts which I am telling you, the credit accounts. Now, in case any interest is incurred to the other party, overseas party, we can remit it through this scheme. Now, in case there are some service callback services, you can remit for that also. Remittance for trading is also permissible under this scheme. Now, what is the manner of the payment? How payment can be made for making these remittances? You can make payment in cash up to rupees 50,000. But if it is above 50,000, you have to go through the medium of the bank transfer, to demand draft, to checks, and all that. Now, what are the documents required for each transaction to be carried out? Now, for the purpose of making remittance for the overseas education, Now, who will make the remittance? Remittance will be made by authorized dealer, which are the banks. And there is another category known as AD2 license holder. That is authorized dealer category 2. They are some money changers designated as like that. Full-fledged money changers, they have the license of AD2. They are as good as bankers for the purpose of these payments. Now for overseas education, what documents you are required? Now you must have the Indian passport of the sender, sender's PAN card, Aadhaar card, or any other ID, maybe voter ID, that is to be filed with the application. Now, for the purpose of education, again, you require the document to show that you have got admission in that university. You must have a letter from that university. Now, you must have also some bank account to show that this much amount is lying in the bank. These are the documents required for making an application for remittance for the purpose of overseas education. Now, living expenses of students abroad. Now, a child has gone outside the country, his father can remit periodically the amount under this LRS scheme, subject to $250,000 per financial year. Now, what are the documents for living expenses to be remitted? Again, the passport, PAN card, then relationship proof that it has to be remitted by a father, mother, brother. Then beneficiary's passport copy, the passport copy of the person to whom you are sending, and bank account details of that person, of that boy, of that student to whom you are sending. This is for the living expenses of students abroad. Now, maintenance of close relations abroad. Now, RBI has permitted that even close relations you can send money. I have already told you that what are the close relations? Close relations are one's ancestors and descendants. Blood relations. In case I am there, my brother, my sister, my father, my mother, and children of all these persons. And similar status for the spouse, for the wife. Her brother, sister, her father, her mother, their children, they all come within the definition of the family, so far as the remittances for maintenance of close relations are concerned. Now you want to remit under this, for this purpose, you must have passports of both. The passport of the remitter, the passport to whom it is being remitted, copy of the PAN card, then relationship proof that you have to establish that he is my blood relation. Then beneficiary passport, copy of the passport of the person to whom you are sending it, and then account details of that person to whom you are sending. Now, gift remittances, gift can also go up to 250,000 per year. When you are remitting the gift, what are the documents to be submitted? Indian passport of the sender, Aadhaar card, photo ID, PAN card, beneficiary's passport copy, and bank account of the beneficiary. These details are to be given to them. Now, for the purpose of immigration, if I go there and that country floats a scheme of immigration that you can stay in this country provided you have a deposit of this much amount. For that purpose, also foreign currency can be remitted from the country, subject to the ceiling of $250,000 per financial year. Now, what are the required documents for that? Passport of the person to whom you are sending, this PAN card of the remitter, Indian passport of the sender, bank account details of the sender, bank account statement of the sender to show that he has this amount available. Now, for the purpose of remittance of tours, what do you require? Invoice copy of the hotel booking or any travel agent making the group, his document to show that he will be carrying this group on such and such date for such and such purpose. Then you want the traveler's passport copy, his PAN card copy, his address proof, and also bank statement of this individual. Now for medical treatment, what you require the documents to be submitted? Indian passport copy of the remitter, copy of the air ticket, copy of the visa, copy of the PAN card, and letter of the institution abroad with whom you have an appointment for treatment, or where you are going for any operation or any other medical treatment. There should be some record to show that yes, this is a genuine purpose. Those documents are to be submitted. Now, if you want to remit for the purpose of participation in global conferences or trainings, the documents required will be invitation letter from the overseas party, invoice raised by the overseas party, passport, voter ID or Aadhaar card of the person, then PAN card. These are the documents required for this purpose. Now, for the purpose of business travel, what are the documents required? First document for business purpose, because this is not now for the individual. Business will come for a company or a firm. Therefore, you require company and corporation certificate. A copy of that is to be given. If a firm is there unregistered, he cannot use this. You cannot use this scheme. Then company's PAN card is required. Then GST certificate is required. 2 address proofs of the establishment. Which are they? That may be a BSNL telephone bill. That may be a mobile bill. That may be establishment certificate or any other registration document to show that he exists on this address. Then the person who is going for this business trip on behalf of the company of the firm, his passport, his visa, his ticket, that is to be filed, along with the application and all that. Application is to be filed in each and every case in the form titled as Form A2. Then, for the purpose of business travel, you have to file an ID proof of the authorized officer signing the request letter, because the person himself cannot sign the letter for getting foreign currency for the purpose of the company. There should be any other person, any other functionary of the company. If it is a company, it should be company secretary, it should be a director, it should be an executive director, or it should be some functionary of the company who is having the signatures with the bank concern. Then those documents are to be produced. Now, what is the requirement of private individuals? Indian passport, confirmed air ticket, and this confirmed air ticket should show travel within period of 60 days. If you have a period of 90 days or you take a ticket 4 months back, you cannot obtain this foreign currency on that. The law has kept a limitation that it is within the 60 days of the travel that you can file an application. Then his PAN card should be there, then valid visa should be there, then Aadhaar card should be there. Now, this is broadly what I have said you about the liberalized remittance scheme. So, any questions, any clarifications, I am here to meet them. Any questions, any clarification? I have tried my best to do in the brief.
Sir, thank you for showering a lot of immense knowledge regarding the remittance scheme. और अगर मैं सिंपली अपने श्रोताओं को थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में ब्रीफ दूंगा, सर की बातों को थोड़ा पहुंचाने की कोशिश करूंगा, तो अगर आप विदेश में रह रहे हैं और विदेश में रहने की अगर आपको मुद्रा की जरूरत है, भारतीय मुद्रा की जरूरत है, तो उस मुद्रा के कन्वेंस को किस तरीके से वो रिमिट किया जाए, किस तरीके से उसका रेमिटेंस प्रॉपर किया जा सकता है, कौन कौन से डॉक्यूमेंट भेजे रिक्वायर्ड होंगे उस टाइम पे, आपको क्या क्या किस किस पर्पस के लिए लिया जा सकता है, इन सारी बातों को सर ने बखूबी उसको अपने इनकॉर्पोरेट किया अपने इस सेशन में। तो सर आपने बहुत अच्छे से इन सारे डिक्टेशंस को डील किया। थैंक यू सो मच।
Most
थैंक यू सो मच।